Part 34. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 331. You want to kill me, but you are too arrogant, Yayu. Looking at the attacking Yayu, Cao roared like this, and then the magic gun in his hand flashed with an unknown golden light. It obviously has the name of Holy Spear, but it exudes such an ominous aura. It has to be said that it is a weapon that once killed gods. Pierce him with the magic spear. Cao, who knew Yayu's strength and characteristics, did not choose to confront the opponent head-on, but instead issued an angry scolding. Immediately, the magic gun in his hand easily tore through the fog and stabbed straight towards Yayu. The cold air gathered in front of Yayu, and immediately a gorgeous prismatic ice shield appeared in front of Yayu, blocking the piercing holy spear. The holy spear that could easily pierce the body of the god could not break through even an ice shield. Cao looked surprised for a moment, but he soon recovered. After all, this was just an ordinary attack, and he didn't even exert 10% of the power of the holy spear. Humph, the power of frost is such a disgusting power. Cao said so coldly, looking at Yayu whose momentum continued unabated. He waved the holy spear in his hand and swept towards Yayu. The golden and blazing light became brighter and brighter, and while Cao waved the holy spear, he also drank loudly. Let you experience the true power of the god's destruction gear and the power of the forbidden hand. Liberate it. The holy spear of the white knight. As Cao's words fell, the space shrouded by the mist was instantly filled with an even more chaotic force. And when Yayu's figure was completely swallowed by chaos, suddenly, the holy spear in Cao's hand released another dazzling white light like the sky. The chaotic world is illuminated by the blazing light. Black and white, chaos and brilliance, two completely different essences are strangely merged. The holy spear in Cao's hand exploded in the wind, and in an instant it transformed into a huge posture of several hundred meters, exuding an extremely heavy sense of oppression. If you can, then show me my forbidden hand. Cao roared like this, and immediately threw the holy spear in his hand towards Yayu. In an instant, the devastating force caused the entire simulated Kyoto to fall apart. You guys, take the mother and daughter and stay away. Looking at the huge holy spear falling from the sky without fear, Yayu slowly spoke while trembling. He was trembling with extreme excitement. I don't know how long it has been since I felt like this feeling of trembling and trembling due to powerful power. The last time, it was when we were fighting the King of Heroes, right? This time it is a battle with the descendants of the great hero Cao, which is really exciting to a certain extent. With this thought in his mind, Yayu just stood motionless and watched the holy spear fall towards him. As you wish, I'll give you a look next. Roaring and roaring with a voice that was no less than that of Cao, bone-chilling coldness and malice immediately rose into the sky, heading towards the holy spear that fell straight down. A huge hole was torn out in the space, and a terrifying space storm exploded in the air along with an energy vortex. The shocking roar caused the entire simulated Kyoto to shake violently. If such an explosion were to occur, the entire simulated Kyoto would be turned into powder in an instant. A shocking explosion occurred in the air, and an endless gray storm burst out from the cracks in the space. The entire simulated Kyoto was trembling. If the aftermath of the explosion fell, the simulated Kyoto would be shattered instantly, and the real Kyoto would also be destroyed. Almost exhausted. Just when everyone was frightened and didn't know the outcome of this battle, Cao's figure appeared in front of everyone first. Humph, arrogant guy, he was wiped out under my hand, right? Is this the opponent that makes you fear him? Volley, if this is the only level, it is really disappointing. A declaration of victory was issued from high in the sky, but Cao was not happy for a long time before his throat was pinched by an arm protruding from the crack in space. Is this your forbidden hand? It's too weak. It's too weak to look good at all. How could it be like this? How could you be unscathed? Cao shouted in disbelief, feeling extremely horrified that you could take his blow head on. I did look forward to it a little bit, but in the end I was a little disappointed. It turns out that I have become so strong without knowing it. Saying very rude words, you exerted a slight force on his wrist, intending to crush Cao to death. No. You can't kill me. Cao shouted in panic, but you didn't pay any attention to him. Just when he was about to strangle Cao to death, the space behind him suddenly cracked open, and a bone claw suddenly poked out. You, the owner of the bone claw, is naturally no stranger. It seems that Hades, the king of Hades, is also closely related to some people in the trouble group. Sir, save me. Because of this sudden change, Yu's palms relaxed slightly, and at the same time, Cao also seized this opportunity and loudly asked Hades for help. The claws of the bones were so fierce that even Yu had to avoid the sharp edge for the time being because of the oppressive feeling coming straight towards the soul. Yu's slight avoidance allowed Cao to be successfully caught by the bone claws. Hades was obviously not willing to fight. After rescuing Cao, he planned to leave quickly and did not care about the life and death of others. You were able to save the first time, can you still save the second time? Seeing Hades leading Cao back quickly, Yu smiled coldly. He had been waiting for this moment, the opportunity to kill Cao and make Hades suffer a big loss. Yu has already had a glimpse of the power of space. Although he is not able to operate it well, the destruction is still very easy for Yu. Give me, freeze. He stretched out his hand and gave the bone claws in the sky a hard squeeze. Immediately, with a crunching sound, the whole world was shattered and cracked. There were signs of fragmentation everywhere, but the space broken by Hades's bone claw was frozen and stared at by an unparalleled terrifying force, which immediately crushed the bone claw into pieces along with Cao. Damn young man. The next time we meet you will be your death. Cao was not saved, and he also lost an arm. Such a shame and humiliation made Hades roar with great anger. But despite being angry, Hades still didn't dare to show up, and could only leave in such a dejected manner. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhong Dai Shang. Chapter 332. The Kyoto incident has come to a perfect end. In this incident, the hero faction of the Misfortune group suffered heavy losses. Not only were a large number of ordinary members annihilated, but even their leader Cao was buried in this isolated city. Moreover, in addition to the leader Cao, the core members of the hero faction also suffered a heavy blow. Vala seemed to have found an opportunity to kill all the remaining hero faction members. For some reason, Yu felt like he was being used as a weapon by this guy Vala. Although he felt a little unhappy for no reason, it didn't matter. Even if Vala didn't play a role in it, he would have to face the opponent sooner or later. Soon it was the last day of the school trip. I dragged my tired body to the platform. I was delayed for a long time due to the disaster group, so I rushed to visit other attractions as if I were going to a market. It's all Genova's fault. Tokyo Tower. My Tokyo Tower, Irina said with a sad face. It turned out that because she was having too much fun, Irina forgot about climbing up to Tokyo Tower. Got it all clean. This is your own responsibility. Who just wanted to go to the roller coaster, but ended up waiting in line for so long? Zenovia shrugged innocently. My Tokyo Tower. The group had already arrived, and on the Shinkansen platform of Kyoto Station, Konu and Yasaka also came to see them off. Mr. Yu. Yasaka took Konu's hand and called Yu with a smile. In front of everyone is the gentle elder sister with blonde hair. Except for her bust, it is really impossible to tell that this classical and graceful young woman is Kunu's mother. Is something okay, Miss Yasaka? Yayu turned around and responded, his eyes sweeping over the red-faced little fox hiding behind his mother. Kunu, what do you want to say? Why don't you hurry up? After hearing what his mother said, Kaozu blushed and asked coyly. Brother Yayu. Will you come to Kyoto again? Ah, it's hard to say. If there is nothing special, there may not be much chance to run around. I don't know what this little girl is looking forward to. Yayu said this deliberately in a funny way. Sure enough, the little fox showed a disappointed expression. But Kyo Academy will be holding a school festival soon. Are you interested in coming? Yayu asked as he knelt down and took the girl's hand. Hey, Xiao Zhozhong looked at his mother, noticed the encouraging look on her face, and happily threw herself into Yayu's arms. I really want to thank you all for your help this time. Mr. Yayu, I'll leave it to you for now, Xiao Qiao. Maybe I will also go to observe the school festival of Kyo Academy. Then before the train was about to start, at this time, Yasaka spoke. Let's go back first. Yasaka and I will enjoy the fun Kyoto together. Sirafal looked excited. As a diplomat, she would stay in Kyoto and negotiate with the monsters again. But looking at her, it always felt like there was some ulterior secret between her and Yasaka. After saying goodbye like this, everyone got on the Shinkansen. Phew, the door of the Shinkansen was closed. Yasaka smiled and watched the train move, with an elegant posture like a lady, while Sirafal next to her was jumping up and down like a child and waving her hands. The comparison between them is very striking. However, not only Yayu, but everyone has also become accustomed to this somewhat out-of-touch Demon King. This is the end of our 4-day and 3-night trip to Kyoto. Is this the world outside Kyoto? It looks so interesting. Oh, brother, please don't move your hands. On the way back, because the little fox had never left Kyoto since he was a child, he was very excited to sit on Yayu and lie by the window to look at the scenery outside. While shouting so energetically, he slapped Yayu's mischievous hand away, and the little fox spoke so coquettishly. There was no movement anywhere, even though it was left alone, it didn't move. Yayu yawned lazily, and directly hugged the little fox as a pillow. It was warm, fluffy, and soft. On the other side, Aisha and Zenobia had also fallen asleep with their eyes squinted. After all, he spent the last moment noisily shopping around a lot of places, and it was only natural that he would be tired now. No, even Yayu was impulsive under the lazy sunshine. Nana, what is that, what is that? The little fox in my arms was very excited. From time to time he would come over and ask questions. Even if he wanted to close his eyes, it would be very difficult. Well, it's just an ordinary signal tower. Hey, is that so? I've never seen it in Kyoto. Is that because you have been staying at the shrine and never come down? Well, mother is very strict in her management. If people want to go out, they can only fly out secretly at night. The little fox said this with a very helpless expression, while Yayu couldn't help but want to laugh. I heard it then. Can you sneak out again in the future? Your mother will be anxious. Well, I have promised my mother that I will be obedient in the future. But I am really happy to be able to go out and play this time. This is all the credit of brother Yayu. This is not my credit. Everyone must unite to fight against the persecution of the disaster group. You monsters in Kyoto should also come out. You can't stay in your stead. Yayu said this and Xiao Zhozhong nodded vigorously. The biggest gain from this trip to Kyoto is probably that the monsters in Kyoto will join the camp of the 3 tribes. Originally, Azazel, Gabriel, and Sirafal were not very confident in the talks. Although Yasaka was the general, there were many diehards among Kyoto monsters, and they who were stuck in their ways might not necessarily agree with such an alliance. But at this moment, the powerful attack of the disaster group directly woke them up from their complacency, and also made them realize their own stupidity and the strength of the disaster group. Realizing that the disaster group was harmful to the entire world was no joke, and more importantly, he saw how powerful Yayu was. After all, before this, many people had a disapproving attitude towards Yayu, the so-called strongest soldier. Facts have proved that strength determines everything in this world. If you are strong enough, you will naturally win respect. Otherwise, the so-called alliance is just empty talk. The monsters of Kyoto have also joined the alliance, and now it's time to conquer the disobedient infinite dragon god. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongde Aishang. Chapter 333. Really, why do you care so much about the school festival and find real monsters to pretend to be ghosts? It would be weird if it didn't scare people to death. Shaking his head, he came out of the old school building. Now the entire old school building has been completely sealed off by the Supernatural Research Department, because they have to prepare for the school festival of Kyo Academy. Speaking of it, from sports festivals, school trips, to the upcoming school festival there is almost no time between garden festivals. This kind of high school life is what ordinary students yearn for the most. The school festival of Kyo Academy is also a grand festival, and all clubs and classes in the school will prepare their own programs accordingly. For example, the Supernatural Research Department was said to have prepared a haunted house last year, but Rias directly hired real monsters to act as ghosts. As you can imagine, the entire infirmary was filled with students who fainted from fright. When it wasn't enough, Sana, who was the vice president of the student union, finally came to stop it. For this, Rias was unhappy for a long time. This time, probably because of the regrets left over from the last school festival, Rias, the head of the Supernatural Research Department, is surprisingly energetic. That is true. After all, as a third-year Rias, this is also the last one. It's a festival. The haunted house is still going to reopen this time. Moreover, Rias also secretly involved several real monsters without Sana's knowledge. This can be regarded as provocation and dissatisfaction with Sana. Furthermore, in addition to haunted houses, special proposals such as cafes, fortune-telling rooms, and supernatural mysteries tours are also prepared. This is the first time I have heard of a club preparing so many projects. However, the old school building is so big that the empty classrooms cannot be used up. Moreover, the members of the Supernatural Research Department are indeed rich enough, so a few more projects are natural. So, while Yayu and his second-year students went on a school trip, Rias and her third-year students and Konako and her second-year students who stayed behind had already started planning. Now, after confirming the proposal, everyone is getting started with enthusiasm. Get ready. All members of the Supernatural Department have taken matters into their own hands and are currently renovating the old school building for the school festival. Although it can be completed in a short period of time using magic power, Rias, the minister, has spoken and requested that she do it by herself as much as possible in order to enjoy the fun of the school festival, so all the family members have to be forced to do manual labor. The girls were responsible for making clothes and decorating the classroom into a haunted house and other rooms. As for Kibayuto, he was responsible for doing physical labor such as moving tables and doing carpentry. After working for a whole noon, Deputy Minister Akeno sent news that the Phoenix family Princess Rebel Phoenix has arrived in the human world and has gone through the transfer procedures to enter the first grade. In addition, there was news that Yayu Zheng returned to the academy with the daughter of the monster general. After getting these two pieces of news, Rias couldn't sit still. Tisk, that's really worrying. In one of the rooms in the club, Rias was sitting there with a frown on her face, and Akeno was sitting next to her. Akeno, do you think Yayu is a lolicon? Why do you think so, minister? Akeno said this with some dumbfounding. Kitten, the little princess of the Phoenix family, and the little princess of Kyoto Monster, there are more and more little girls around Yayu. It's just a coincidence. The little princess of the Phoenix family has reached the age of adulthood. There is no problem in preparing to develop her own dependence and come to the human world. But the little princess of Kyoto Monster has just concluded an alliance with that place, so she will. Isn't there any problem if you come over first to communicate or something? But, I always feel that the sense of crisis is so serious. No, I must tell them who is Yayu's true palace at this school festival. Ria spoke with such confidence, while Akeno on the other side could only shake her head helplessly and let her minister go. Ah, the long-awaited campus festival. Young and energetic girls are shaking their white thighs and squandering their sweaty youth. Ah, it's good to be young. Azazel looked around with a lewd smile. Students coming and going. It's really embarrassing. Being with the idiot governor really brings shame to our supernatural research department, Rias on the side said helplessly. Here are all the members of the supernatural research department, in addition to the little fox Jozhong who returned with Yayu, and Rebel who suddenly transferred to another school for unknown reasons. Today, the old school building has been converted into the supernatural hall, and now it has begun to receive students' visits. I believe it will give them the same surprise as last year, right? Yayu also understood more or less the things about Rias, and he couldn't help but laugh a little. Almost everyone has a lot of things to do, and the most laid-back Yayus is wandering around the club room with Jozhong and Rebel. Please line up and fight in a single file. Elsa, wearing a cute maid outfit, was proofreading in front of the students in the corridor. This was a line prepared for the coffee shop. Hello everyone, this is the divination parlor and the exorcism corner. Konako-chan Tashiro and Akeno Himejima will perform divination and exorcism for us. While Irina serves as a waitress, she is also responsible for the receptionist in each corner. Although there is a lot of dark history about the supernatural department, when the school festival officially started, it still attracted many students. After all, the most popular beauties in the entire Quayo Academy are all in the supernatural research department. Get ready, eggplant. The speaker was Rias, who was taking pictures in a maid outfit at the coffee shop. Screaming sounds came from the other side of the house, and it seemed that Kibayuto was pretending to be a ghost in the haunted house to scare people. It's really interesting. Is this a campus festival? Xiaoja Kong said excitedly, his eyes unable to see clearly. Yes, this is the school festival. Looking at the smiling members, Yayu also had a faint smile on his face. I hope there won't be any trouble. Kang Na, who was afraid that something would happen again, had already rushed over in advance, taking the medical staff with her. After all, what happened last year was still fresh in her mind. In addition, it is her responsibility as a member of the student council to supervise the conduct of the school festival. Speaking of which, I'm also a member of the student union. Yayu suddenly remembered something and patted his head, while Kang Na rolled his eyes at him angrily. Do you still remember that you are a member of the student union? Please tell me how long it has been since you participated in the normal official duties of the student union. Ahem, cough, cough, aren't I on patrol now? Yayu said this, and Kang Na rolled his eyes at him charmingly, and the group continued to enjoy the lively school festival celebration. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 334. After the school festival is over, it's time for the younger generation of demons to finally decide the winner in rating. Game. Yayu, the opponent for the showdown with Rias, is also very familiar with him. He is none other than Sereorg from the Bar family, a fighting maniac with the same temperament as Vala. In fact, Yayu is the most troublesome to deal with. This kind of guy. A person with this kind of temper is very stubborn. No matter how much you torture him, he will not be convinced. He keeps coming to you with the idea that he will defeat you one day. Fighting. If it was an enemy, just kill him. But unfortunately, the other party was not his enemy. On the contrary, he should be said to be his in-laws, which gave Yayu even more headaches. However, even though they had a headache, they could only fight bravely. Not long after the school festival ended, the group of them took the Gremory family's special train again to the location of the decisive battle. Ah! That's amazing. It's actually an island floating in the sky. Several girls were lying by the window of the cable car, looking excitedly at the floating island above. Surrounding the huge island in the suspended city are countless ancient trees and green forests, and at regular intervals there are galaxy-like waterfalls hanging directly from the suspended island. The entire suspended island seems to be supported by countless water columns and held in the air, so dreamlike. The scene can probably only be seen in fantasy-themed movies. This is a day equivalent to a grand ceremony in the underworld. The strongest future star in the entire underworld, the younger generation, the eldest lady of the Gremory family. The strongest young man from King Bear's family. The strongest battle is today. Underworld, the capital of Grand Duke Agar's, hanging island. The fantasy island floating in the sky, the city there, Agar's, is a magical island built in the Old Devil era. Originally, after the war between the old Demon King and the new government, the hanging island had been greatly damaged. It was not until the current Demon King, Lord Beelzebub, who invented the demon chess piece and rating game, personally repaired it that it was perfected. Now, the entire hanging island Agar's has almost become the core capital that monopolizes the economic circulation in this area, and is even a tourist attraction. As the core fortress, the method of entering the hanging island is greatly restricted. The first is to jump through the magic square array. Probably because this is VIP level, it can only be used during special festivals. It is an important place and a World Heritage Site, so avoid using magic to move it as much as possible. The second method is to take an air vehicle such as a flying ship. Of course, if you want to enter the capital, you must obtain a pass from below, otherwise the unidentified flying ship will definitely be bombarded by countless magic bullets at the first opportunity. As for the third and last type, that is the cable car that Yayu and the others are taking now. This is also a method that many tourists use to enjoy the scenery. At this moment, all the members of the Supernatural Research Department were sitting on the huge luxury magic cable car. The girls were excitedly looking out the window, while Azazel was talking about this competition. Alas, actually, there seems to be a dispute among the people above about the setting of the competition venue. Azazel, who was holding his hands and crossing his feet, sighed and said the news he had received from the higher UPS. Could it be that the finals weren't held on this suspended island from the beginning? Well, I originally hoped that the current upper-level Demon King's faction Gomongli would hold the event or the Demon King's territory. However, the Baal faction who values kinship here wanted to hold the event in Baal's territory. As a result, the two sides couldn't argue. Asakel said this and shrugged helplessly. Because the current Demon King is not hereditary. For higher-level demons who value blood relationships, the reputation of the great King Baal family, one of the original 72 pillars, is even higher than that of the Demon King, so even the Demon Kings cannot maintain tough attitude. The two sides didn't want to give in to each other, so in the end it was decided to hold the competition on Agar's territory, Kitty whispered, while Azazel nodded and spoke. Well, the status of Grand Duke Agar's is between the Demon King and the Great King. The middle management, Grand Duke Agar's. Although times are constantly changing, every generation is very hard. Does this mean that our game has become a proxy war between Demon King Lucifer and King Bar's family? Well, there are many people who see it that way. On the surface, it is a match between the rising eldest lady of the Rias family versus Saray Org, the strongest young player. This is just a publicity statement to attract ordinary demons. But what is behind the scenes? Politicians speculated that this was a proxy war between the Demon King and the Great King. He looked bored, and that was true. As Azazel, who only liked collecting and studying artifacts, he was quite resistant to such political things, otherwise he would not have delegated power to the fallen angels' headquarters. Ran out. This kind of thing is not something we have to worry about. Anyway, as long as we win this game, I am full of confidence. Rhea said so confidently, with the powerful combat power of Yayu and the Fenrir wolf that had just been recovered not long ago, they can be said to be invincible. Confidence is a good thing, but you can't underestimate the enemy. It is said that this time your battle has attracted the attention of many forces. Even other mythological systems have basically come over, such as Greece, Mount Sumeru, and Northern Europe. Over there in India, in short, basically all the big figures from the legend are here. So let's end it as soon as possible. I can't bear this kind of scene anymore. By the way, that guy may show up too. Although he probably won't do anything on such an occasion, it's better to be careful. You mean, Hades? Yes, although he took action several times, we couldn't find any evidence, and he would definitely not admit that he was related to the disaster group. Azazel said this, revealing his deep fear of Hades in his words. After all, the opponent is a being whose strength far exceeds that of the Demon King, and has reached a height that he cannot understand. In Azazel's opinion, the only one who can fight Hades is the pervert Xerxes, right? Of course, there is one more Yayu now. Asakel thought this, looking at Yayu who was bowing his head in thought in front of him. He couldn't help but sighed softly. He was really old, and now the world is dominated by young people. I know, I will be careful. It's fine if he is honest. If he dares to do any tricks, I don't mind letting this so-called controller of death understand what real death is. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhong Dai Shang. Chapter 335. Hanging Island, Agar's venue. After getting off the cable car, we were taken directly to the largest athletic venue in Agar's by a special car. After entering the venue, everyone entered the luxury hotel next to the venue. After entering the hotel, the girls were once again amazed by the splendid construction. The hotel here is indeed not comparable to the one in the human world. So far, the only hotel they have seen that is more advanced than this hotel is the castle of the Gremory family. Under the guidance of the waiter, the group headed towards the preparation room. As this is the most important competition, the exclusive box in the hotel that is only open to the devil and the heads of the family has become the preparation room. However, when everyone passed through the passage, from the other side of the passage, a breath of deathly silence that was like an ice needle gave everyone goosebumps. Tisk. This breath is. Yayu is really familiar with this aura, because he has already encountered it twice, a certain haunting guy, Hades, the Lord of Hades. Opposite the crowd, there was a group of guys wrapped in grey robes walking towards the side from the aisle. Standing among the group of people was a skeleton wearing priestly clothes. The skeleton walked smoothly to the front of everyone and stopped, its eyeless eyes glowing eerily. Yeah, isn't this the Gumangli family? Also, Lord Governor of the Fallen Angels, Lord Seraph of Heaven. The eerie sound came from an unknown place on the skeleton, which made people feel very strange. Hearing the skeleton's words, Azazel suddenly laughed mockingly. Isn't this His Highness Hades who lives under the underworld, in the hell layer and is in charge of death? He actually brought the god of death to the ground. However, I really didn't expect that you, who hates demons and fallen angels the most, would come here. Here. Ha ha ha, you are really good at talking, you crow. I don't know why it's been so noisy up there lately, so I came up to see what's going on. Old skeleton man, it seems that you are the only one in Greece who is opposed to cooperation between various forces. If so, So what? Do you want to kill someone my age like Loki, this? After saying this, the guys surrounding the skeleton Hades began to show murderous intent. I will be as tolerant to you as I was to that perverted old man Odin. There are endless bad rumors around you. After looking at Yayu, the meaning of Azazel's words was obvious. Ha ha ha, a group of crows and bats are making noise up there, so I have to take some measures to prevent noise. There was obviously hostile contempt, and then the deep skull eyes turned to Yayu, revealing a biting chill and murderous intent. The kid these days is really getting more and more noisy. He is really a formidable person. But don't be too arrogant, otherwise you won't know how you will die. Haha, Mr. Hades also likes to joke. Nowadays, some elderly people have very long hands. It doesn't matter if they are long, but don't stretch them randomly. If it breaks accidentally, you don't know how long it will take to grow back. You can't see the skeletal look on Hades's face, but you can imagine how angry he was. With his words, the men around him also burst out with extremely strong murderous aura. Like their master Hades, the aura of these servants of Hades is also black and cold with the smell of death. However, playing on the ice in front of Yayu is really a little bit out of tune and ignorant. Because they are used to the cold air that Yayu releases at every turn, compared with Yayu's cold air, the cold air on these servants of the underworld is really not enough, so the girls just showed a little troubled expression because of the cold air. That's all. And soon, with a gentle wave of Yayu's palm, these servants of the underworld were immediately strangled by their necks, and they could no longer breathe out at all. Step back, it's just a joke made by the juniors. Don't you still take it seriously, and aren't you afraid of being laughed at? Okay, let's go. Hades said this, waved to his men, and immediately led them to escape in despair. After Hades left, the girls also breathed a sigh of relief. Facing this guy who was far more powerful than the Demon King, they were still a little nervous. I have heard about Lord Hades from my predecessors in the Nordic era, but it feels like my soul has been captured just now. It's really scary, that skeleton gives people a lot of pressure. Several girls expressed their opinions one after another, and Azazel on the other side also rolled his neck nervously. That's natural, because among the main members of each force, that guy is also at the top level. Are you more powerful than you, teacher? Much more powerful than me, that old skeleton man, he hides very deep. No one knows how strong that guy is, but even his superficial strength is not something I can defeat. Moreover, those around him, the servants of Hades, are also very dangerous guys. For Hades, the Lord of Hades, Azazel, the governor of the fallen angels, the leader of a force, would be so afraid. One can imagine how terrifying the gap in strength is. However, Yayu, you are really brave. You actually provoked the skeleton like this. I thought we were going to start a fight. Laughing happily, it seemed that he could see Hades deflated, and Azazel was also very happy. But at this moment, this time generous laughter came from the passage. Ha 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 ha. Azazel, you guy is here. What's so funny? Two middle-aged uncles with tall bodies and fresh faces walked across the aisle. Seeing the two figures, Azazel's smile suddenly froze, and he sighed indifferently. You are here, Zeus and Poseidon. I still feel very uncomfortable here. If only that Hades guy could be as happy as you two. Greek god King Zeus and Poseidon, king of the sea. The two people looked serious, but for some reason seeing these two guys reminded Yayu of a certain old man. Are you married? Monk Asa. You will be lonely if you are alone all the time. I can also introduce you to you. There are many good women. Ha 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 ha. Ah. I told you not to worry about it. As expected, Azazel had such a depressed expression on his face. Faced with such two lustful uncles, Azazel was also in pain. Yayu on the other side also figured out who these two guys looked like. Aren't they the same character as that old man Odin? Are the so-called main gods of all camps all like this? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 336. In the luxurious preparation room, everyone had sat down around a table filled with tea and snacks in the middle. It's really disappointing. These gods, they originally thought that Odin was a special case, but in the end it was no different. How did this guy become the main god? Holding a steaming cup of tea, yeah, you said this with a bit of laughter. Well, that's the thing. Those gods with infinite lives will get frustrated if they are always so pedantic and rigid. So basically gods and demons will find their own fun. For example, I am also interested in artifacts. Interested. Azazel is not boasting when he says this. He is the governor of the fallen angels in the Bible. Compared with those gods, his name is not much weaker. But soon, Azazel's smile turned bitter. Of course, there are always some exceptions, such as the Nordic evil god Loki you met, and the old skeleton man before. In short, these guys still maintain the so-called majesty of their respective forces and refuse to negotiate for peace or anything like that. What a trouble. These rigid guys. Wouldn't it be nice to be more cheerful? He curled his lips in dissatisfaction. Azazel really didn't like war. The bad reputation of the fallen angels must have disappeared long ago under the leadership of him, the governor. Well, just deal with the disobedient guy. There is no way to catch him now. If I catch him, I will deal with him mercilessly. Shaking the tea in the cup, yeah, you said this confidently, and Azazel was already used to his blind confidence. You kid, I'm not worried about your strength. It's just that Hades is an important figure in the Greek pantheon after all. Even if they knew what connection he had with the disaster group, the Greek gods wouldn't be able to hand him over so easily. Out. Then just destroy the entire Greek pantheon. So I really don't know what to say about you. Sometimes you are too confident. You want to destroy the Greek gods or something like that. You can't say this randomly in the future. I know, if I do this, wouldn't I become the same existence as the disaster group? I don't want to be regarded as a terrorist. Yeah, you said so lazily, and immediately showed a strange smile. Don't worry, if that Hades doesn't know how to flatter me and continues to oppose me, I will quietly get rid of him. The Greek pantheon is unwilling to hand him over, so we can't let them know how Hades died. Already? Well, it's up to you. If you want to do it beautifully and don't let them get hold of it. Otherwise, it won't be easy for us to explain. Azazel shook his head helplessly, agreeing with Yayu's approach. After resting for a while, it was time for them to appear. Rhea stood up confidently, waved her hands and spoke to everyone. Are you all ready? Yes. Following Rhea's powerful question, the family members clenched their fists and their eyes burst out with determination. Very good. There is a lot at stake in this battle, but we only need to focus on fighting for ourselves. No matter what changes occur in the game, defeating the enemy in front of us is the only goal. Do you hear me? Yes. Then, everyone, get ready. We will be on stage soon. There will be a lot of spectators then, so don't be afraid. Just as he said this, there was a huge joy from the outside world that was enough to shake the arena. Then, the much anticipated battle of the century begins. Now welcome those who enter from the East Gate, Team Saraorg BAL. The magically amplified announcement resounded throughout the venue, and in an instant, maybe Saraorg and the others had appeared, and cheers erupted like a tide. The cheers reached here. Because of the entry of Balu's family members, the venue was filled with joy. I'm so nervous. It's okay, Aisha, You just need to help everyone with treatment in the back row. Gently touching Aisha's nervous little face, yeah, you was probably the most relaxed among everyone. For him, this battle was just a game. At this time, the radio sounded again. Then, let us welcome those who enter from the West Gate Team Rias Gumarai. The atmosphere at the venue was once again boiling, accompanied by shocking cheers. The exciting scene made the girls who had some stage fright straighten up a little. Let's go, don't have so many worries. It's not okay to let our opponents see us being timid. Then, let's go, my dear family members. Let us win. Yes. Under the leadership of Rias, all the family members walked out of the passage facing the dazzling lights. Next, I would like to ask all the Gumangli family members to move to their own positions. The host's reminder sounded, and immediately everyone looked towards the center of the arena, where there were two huge rocks suspended in mid-air. Sarayorg and his family were already standing on the suspended rocks on the east side. After walking up the spiral stairs to the position, a man with a headset and gorgeous clothes appeared in the huge magic light screen set up above the venue. Good evening, everyone. Tonight's game will be broadcast live by me, Nawood Kamajin, the former 72 Heavenly Pillars Kamajin family. As soon as the words fell, the venue burst into cheers again. Celebrities from the original 72 Pillars broadcast live. It's quite exciting for a normal demon. Let me introduce you now. The judge of the competition tonight is Deckard Roger Chloe. The silver-haired young man appeared from the magic square in the air with an elegant look. Deckard Roger Chloe, the seventh strongest person in the official rankings, was also the only top-level demon among the top 10 who was reincarnated from a human. Then, the special guest. Today we are fortunate to have Lord Azazel, the governor of the fallen angels, give us an explanation. Hello Governor Azazel, please take care of me when we meet for the first time. Then, a familiar face appeared on the magic screen. Wherever I am, that's why I want you to take care of me. Governor Azazel has a very good relationship with Lord Surtsk and the leaders of various forces, and is well known in the industry for research on artifacts. So, for today's game, as the exclusive consultant of the Gumanra team, what do you do? Look. As for me, I hope it won't cause too much trouble. It's best to have both sides. Azazel shrugged and said this, and yeah, you also knew who he was talking about. He touched the tip of his nose and looked at the god-killing wolf Fenrir next to Rias. I almost forgot about this wolf. It seems, even if I don't have to take any action, it will be a tough battle for the opponent, right? The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhong Dai Shang. Chapter 337. When Azazel finished speaking, the camera moved to the other side. It was a man with long gray hair, gray eyes, and a calm smile. As soon as this man appeared, the entire venue burst into the highest cheers ever. At the same time, we also invited another guest. The current king who ranks first among the superior demons. The Emperor. Mr. Dehise Belial. The winner of the professional ranking competition. The Emperor, the strongest king ever, is Sarayorg's ultimate goal. Hello everyone, I am Dehise Belial, please take care of me. With a hearty smile, no matter from which aspect, the number one in this ranking tournament is no different from the Demon King. Then, let's hear what Governor Azazel, who is the advisor to the Gumangli team, and the King, who is the advisor to the Baal team, have to say about this game. As for the Gumangli team, it is no surprise that it is the strongest team, both in terms of individual ability and teamwork ability. Without hesitation, Azazel put away his smile and made a decisive comment. I think Sarayorg player is very good as the king and is worth looking forward to. As the Emperor, Dehise Belial also said with a smile. Rias, on the other hand, kept looking at the screen carefully. Dehise Belial? What does this so-called Emperor mean? That is a title that can only be obtained by ranking first in the rankings. It is also the goal that I have been striving for. This title is worshipped and respected by the devils like the devil. Ria said excitedly, this king is the girl's future goal. Rias's dream is to win the highest title in the competition. And to achieve this goal, the final obstacle is this king. Rias's face was filled with determination. I will definitely defeat him in the future, but the key now is to defeat the powerful enemy in front of us. Otherwise, I won't even have a foothold to realize my dream. Don't worry, it will definitely come true. This dream of yours, I promise you. Yeah, you said this with a smile, and Rias nodded with confidence on her face. The commentary continues. First of all, let's talk about Phoenix's tears. The magic medicine that instantly heals all injuries. The presence or absence of this thing is directly related to the tactics of the entire game, and Rias has always been concerned about it. As you all know, due to the series of terrorist incidents caused by the terrorist group, the Disaster Group, all forces are very nervous, so the demand for tears has greatly increased. Therefore, it is also very difficult to prepare tears for the game, but the host stretched out his hand on the huge screen. Then what appeared there was a very expensive box with 2 bottles inside. With the kindness of the current head of the Phoenix family of Tears made, and to thank everyone who has always supported the 2 camps of Balu and Gomonli, each team in this game has a bottle of tears to support. The venue was once again excited upon hearing the news. I have to say that this is good news for Rias. This important magical medicine is naturally reserved for the king, and Yayu's power is helpless even with the tears of Phoenix. Many people remember this. Still new. After providing the magic medicine, the explanation began to explain the most critical things. In addition, this game has special rules. This is not surprising to Yayu at all. The reason is very simple, because no matter how you look at it, the strength gap between the 2 sides is too big. Not to mention Yayu, this Fenrir wolf is enough to make even the Demon King level unable to bear it. Not to mention Yayu, who easily beat Fenrir wolf to a half-dead state, with an outsider level of combat power. Therefore, in order to prevent this game from ending prematurely, ending with a crushing attitude, and creating something dramatic, special game rules must be formulated. Before announcing the special rules, please allow me to first explain the process of the competition. This competition is not a chasing competition between all members of the team on the field, but is conducted in the manner of a big competition. This competition is to satisfy the needs of all of us here. Audiences, there will be a short-term final match. Although the contestants are all young demons, this competition mode is exactly the mode of professional level competition for upper level demons. The host continued to talk, and Yayu rolled his eyes in boredom. He always felt that he had no chance to appear. But Rias's eyes became serious. She might have thought of something. What? The description of the special rules then continues. Then, there are special rules for this game. Please ask the kings of both camps to move to the dedicated setting table. Rias and Sarayorg on the other side moved to the front of the stage on their respective sides. Several machines appeared at the setup station. The camera also focuses on the setup table, where the dice appear. There are dice there. This is the key to the special rules. Yes, this competition rule is officially one of the main competitive events of the ranking competition. Dice figure. Dice figure. Kibayuto, who knew what this was, began to explain. There are many special game rules in real ranking matches. We have been using relatively common game rules before. In addition to that, there are also methods like this time using dice, or setting up a pennant in the center of the field for both sides to compete for. The game rules called Scramble Flag. Dice figure is the most representative game using dice. Could it be that each family member represents a number and then is thrown to someone? Yayu asked curiously, and Kibayuto nodded again. Yes, That's the rule. After Kibayuto said this, Yayu was 100% sure that he had no chance to appear, and the host on the other side continued to explain. For the audience who don't know much about this rule, let me explain it again here. The dice used in the game have the same 6 sides as the ordinary dice. The 6 sides of the dice are from 1 to 6, and which side is turned determines the players who can play. We all know that the value of the soldier piece is 1, the value of the knight piece is 3, the value of the monk is 3, the value of the chariot is 5, and the value of the queen is 9. According to the number thrown by the dice, dependents of equal value can appear on the stage. This is the way of fighting in this game. After finally understanding the rules of this game, Yayu rolled his eyes again. It was well known that he was a demon reincarnated using Rias's 8 soldier chess pieces. It seemed that the number of points in the whole game was greater than 8. Will appear. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 338. Although there may be a hint of cheating in the rules, it is natural. If Yayu is really allowed to play, the opponent may be defeated. Although it is said to be a competition to determine the strongest of the younger generation, but more importantly, you want to create a program effect, right? The final result was similar to what Yayu thought. He really had no chance to play, but even without his appearance, Rias and the others still won under the terrifying strength of Fenrir Wolf. It's just that Yayu, who stood on the field and watched the whole show, was a little bored. I'm sorry, Yayu, I didn't expect them to be like this. Ria said this apologetically after the game. Well, I also knew it would be this result, so I'm not surprised. Yayu seemed indifferent. He was not allowed to play not only because he was too bullying, but also because he didn't want to expose his true strength in front of so many gods, right? Especially when Hades is still hiding in the dark and observing here. After the game, Yayu and Azazel walked towards the VIP lounge. During the game, he could not leave because he was a commentator, but after the game, Azazel, who was summoned by his subordinates, left directly with Yayu, saying that he was taking him to meet someone. VIP viewing rooms are all separate rooms. There are many in the venue, and it seems that they are all used up for this competition. The old man Odin was in the Walyahara room, while Zeus and Poseidon were in the dedicated room of Erebos, 1 per person, and there were guard handles outside to protect their safety. Following Azazel, the two entered one of the VIP rooms. At this time, the owner of the room and his guards happened to come out of the room. He was a man with a round convex lens on his head, a rosary around his neck, and a casual appearance that was completely inconsistent with the title of VIP. Azazel looked at the other party and greeted him very familiarly. Isn't this His Highness Emperor Shaktian? How do you like watching the game? Oh. Hello, righteous fallen angel brother. It's really an exciting competition. For you, the fallen angel brother who is colluding with the current king's faction, are you very happy that your student won? The Gumangli team also has too many unconventional guys, and ordinary teams are no match for them. Saying this with a sarcastic look on his face, the man named Emperor Shishin glanced at Yayu's face. Not seeing this mysterious soldier take action, I have to say that it was a very uncomfortable thing for him. Watching this game this time, his biggest purpose was actually to see Yayu's strength. Ah, I forgot to introduce him. This is a person with the highest level of ability even in the highest camp among all the forces now. The Emperor of Heaven, the God of War who defeated the God of War Azura. Azazel introduced Yayu like this, then stared at the other person and spoke slowly. I have something to ask you. Ha ha ha. What's the matter, righteous fallen angel brother? If I can tell you something, I will tell you. You knew about the divine destruction gear and CAO earlier than we did, right? Dishishin said with a meaningful smile. What's wrong with what you said? Do you have any dissatisfaction with the fact that that guy and I have known each other since childhood? Are you angry because I didn't report it to you? Or is it, that we colluded? Indra. Azazel called out the other person's name with anger, but Shukden smiled without fear. Ha ha ha. Didn't you just call me by my name? Don't look so angry, Asa-chan. If you're angry because of this, that's what Hades, the god of the underworld, has been doing. Is that a complete redivision of the spheres of influence? It seems that the man in front of him, who is called Emperor Shishin, knows much more than Yayu and Azazel imagined. After the conversation with Azazel ended, Emperor Shishin looked at Yayu again and spoke slowly. It can be seen that the devil is trying every means to protect you, so keep a low profile, kid. Now all the forces seem to be peaceful on the surface and are praising peace, but in fact they are thinking in their hearts, our mythology is he is the strongest. All other myths should be destroyed. Damn it, the only exceptions are that hateful old man Odin and that guy Zeus. Because in any case, if there are fewer gods to believe in, then humans can agree long live the consciousness. Is it a basic thing to get rid of paganism? Moreover, because of the invasion of your mythology, many believers have been robbed, and then how many gods have been reduced to the level of folklore? We must also re-examine each such a myth. You must know that the so-called gods are stronger than human hatred and resentment. After saying so much in a series, Emperor Shishin couldn't help but take a long breath and said, well, I will still help you with superficial matters. After all, Offis and the others are really in the way. You can rest assured on this. Everyone has ambitions. No god will be willing to be inferior to others. I also have ambitions. Looking at Emperor Shishin in front of him, Yayu touched the tip of his nose and laughed softly. Oh, do you have ambitions too? Then may I know what your soldiers' ambitions are? It's very simple, just like you said, reign over everyone and become the only god. Yayu said this nonchalantly, causing Shishin to narrow his eyes involuntarily and look him up and down. Is it really dangerous to find you like this? Little guy, I just reminded you not to be too arrogant. You have to know that we are the only ones in this world who can be called heaven. Really, what if I insist on getting involved and want to sit in that position? Then, I can only destroy your soul at all costs. The back of Emperor Shukden who left after leaving these words. There are still many people who have ambitions in this world, including Emperor Shishin and Hades. After all, as the only existence above them, no one wants to see others standing on top of them. But these have nothing to do with Yayu. In fact, he has nothing to do with becoming the lord of the world. The reason why he does this is entirely because of Nayashanisa, because if he doesn't do this, it seems that his test results will fail. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Aishang. Chapter 339. There have been a lot of things going on recently, and Yayu has been a little busy. After Rias's game ended, Yayu finally got some rare leisure time. And Sana, who got the opportunity, unceremoniously asked Rias to occupy Yayu and succeeded. After the school festival, the school also had a period of vacation. It can be said that during this period, Yayu has been immersed in the gentle land of Kang-na and is very unhappy. Mr. Yayu felt that the matter between himself and Kana should have been exposed, but it seemed like Rias didn't care. In the early morning, Yayu opened his eyes lazily, and heard the gentle breathing of the person next to his pillow, but for some reason his hand felt something was wrong. It seems, a little small. Do you feel small? Hey hey hey. Yayu was so shocked that he almost jumped out of bed. When he came back to his senses, he realized that the person lying next to him was not Kang-na but Orpheus. Yayu looked stupidly at the little girl sleeping next to him. Her long black hair spread out on the bed, and her gothic jet black dress bloomed like a flower. Is it really small? Tilting his head, Off-Eyes added this. Why are you in my bed? Yayu, who finally came to his senses, retracted his hand and asked, somewhat dumbfounded. Because it's boring. Off-Eyes blinked his clear eyes and stared at Yayu. Do you like bigger ones? Why are you always struggling with this issue? According to the information I know, most men do like women with a larger part of the body, and it is also very important for the nurturing of their offspring. Off-Eyes said this seriously, while Yayu covered his face with a sad expression. What's going on with Yayu? Are you awake? Seemingly hearing a noise in the house, Kana, who was preparing breakfast, opened the door and walked in. The girl was also stunned when she saw the petite girl sitting on the bed. This little girl. Sana, who had never seen Off-Eyes' true form, looked very surprised. She was a little confused as to how this little girl got in. Ah, well, you must know her name. She is the leader of the famous disaster group, the Infinite Dragon God Off-Eyes. Why oh, 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 Off-Eyes. Kang Na was so frightened that she stammered and stared at the little girl in front of her with wide eyes in disbelief. That's really rude. Did I scare you so much? Off-Eyes seemed a little unhappy as he said this, but the girl's little face was still so cold, with no expression revealed. Why don't you smile? It's so cute. When Kang Na stared at Off-Eyes with wide eyes and couldn't say a word, Yayu shook his head helplessly, then went over to pinch the girl's chin and then pulled it so exaggeratedly that the girl's face suddenly showed a very serious look. Ridiculous expression comes. Yayu, what are you doing? This is Lord Infinite Dragon God. Although I don't know why Off-Eyes, the Infinite Dragon God, is such a cute little girl, the name and Yayu's actions still managed to scare Sana. Don't worry, Off-Eyes is not as scary as the legend says. She is just a very lonely little girl. Yayu said this indifferently, and immediately hugged Off-Eyes into his arms. Why, have you figured it out? You ran over here. Didn't you agree that you would wait for me to conquer you? Because it's boring. Off-Eyes' answer was still so concise, but as Yayu hugged him, the girl's somewhat silent expression and eyes gradually became more lively. And looking at Off-Eyes' soft and frail look, Sana didn't know what to say. It was really hard to imagine that a girl like this could turn the whole world upside down. The leader of the terrorist group. Although it was still holiday time, the Supernatural Research Department was full of people. The faces of the family members headed by Rias and the two mentors, Azazel and Gabriel, looked very solemn. The reason why this happened was very simple. It was because of a harmless-looking girl in Yayu's arms in front of them. The leader of the terrorist group who is feared by the whole world, the Infinite Dragon God Off-Eyes, who is known as the strongest in this world. I said, is it necessary to be so nervous? Yayu shook his head helplessly, and his hands fell on Off-Eyes' little face again. Look, you scared everyone because of your relationship. When Yayu said this, Off-Eyes showed a somewhat unhappy expression. What does it have to do with me if they are afraid? What a mess, Yayu. You must know that this dragon is the leader of a group that attacks various forces. She is an enemy who has caused great harm in the world of demons. It's okay, Rias, Off-Eyes doesn't have any hostility, does he? When Yayu said this, everyone was silent for a long time. Although they still remained vigilant, Rias still sighed and chose to believe Yayu's words. Really, such a thing could happen. But after all, he is Yayu, and even a being like Off-Eyes can be tamed. Azazel praised so loudly that Akeno had already made tea and brought it to Yayu and Off-Eyes. Anyway, we are guests. Let's have a cup of tea first. Rias, don't get too excited. If this ancestor makes a fuss, all of us here won't be able to watch it. Can you tell me a little bit about your purpose of coming? Where is the Vala team? You, the master, have come over. They can't just sit idly by, right? They didn't dare stop me. Off-Eyes continued to answer with his own characteristics, just like a willful little girl, making everyone around him cry and laugh, and had to know what to say. It sounds like I really feel sorry for that boy Vala. It must be hard to have such a willful leader, right? The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 340. After arriving at Yayu's side, Off-Eyes looked like he didn't want to leave. The dragon power that Yayu inherited from Naishanisa was too attractive to the girl. Although Rias was very opposed to keeping Off-Eyes and cared about her staying with Yayu, she finally had to give up after the persuasion of Azazel, Gabriel, and others. Taking this opportunity, Rias wisely made a request that even Sana didn't know how to refuse. That is to monitor Off-Eyes, prevent Yayu from danger, build a big mansion, and let everyone live together. Although it was a bit ridiculous, this mansion was built, and Sana, Rias, Akeno, Asia, and Konako were all living in it together. Gabriel, the Seraph Lord from heaven, also moved in with the same excuse. As for the two grown men, Azazel and Kibayuto, they were naturally isolated. At first glance, it seems that it is for my own safety and to monitor Off-Eyes, but why does it feel like it has suddenly become my own private harem? After taking Off-Eyes to move in, Yayu looked dumbfounded, but Off-Eyes, the culprit who caused this series of events, didn't have the slightest consciousness. The only one who is unhappy is probably Kang Na. With so many people moving in, it will be very difficult for her and Yayu to do anything in the future. But to a certain extent, it has become more exciting. In Yayu's room, because Off-Eyes suddenly wanted to talk to Yayu, he asked the other girls to leave the room for the time being. Okay, they're all gone. If you have anything to say, just say it. After closing the door and turning around, Yayu said this while looking at Off-Eyes sitting on the edge of the bed with a pair of white and tender feet dangling. Following Yayu's words, Off-Eyes' feet stopped swinging, and the girl's deep eyes stared at Yayu with serious eyes before she slowly replied. Have a baby with me. Yayu's serious words almost spurted out a mouthful of blood. What did you say? I want to have a child with you. Wait a minute, this topic is too jumpy. I'm sorry, I won't be able to accept it for a while. Can I know the reason why you suddenly want to have a child with me? Seeing Yayu's exaggerated look, Off-Eyes tilted his head and showed an expression of confusion. Isn't it weird? You want me to be your pet? Isn't it natural for a pet to be played with by its owner and then give birth to offspring? They are completely two different things. Yayu said with a bit of laughter and tears, as if he had said it a long time ago. Off-Eyes is not a little girl who doesn't understand anything. On the contrary, she understands everything. It is precisely because she understands everything that she has the words spoken at that time were particularly speechless. She knew everything, so driven by curiosity, she wanted Yayu to do all those things to her. She is Off-Eyes, the most powerful infinite dragon god in the world. Yayu is the only person in this world who dares to speak to her like this and have such thoughts towards her. Maybe Off-Eyes' biggest wish is to be treated like an ordinary girl, right? The good side of human nature and the evil side of human nature, no matter how Yayu treats her, makes the little girl full of interest. She felt bored with this world, and only by staying by Yayu's side could Off-Eyes feel that she existed and was alive. Always, I just want to defeat Great Red, return to the gap between dimensions, and gain eternal peace, but it's different now. You made me feel interesting and made me feel my own existence, so, I'll have a child with you. I want to be treated roughly and gently. I want to feel the feeling that only girls can feel, the feeling of being played with and ravaged. As Off-Eyes said this, the girl's eyes gradually became misty. The girl knows all this but has not experienced it, So her desire and curiosity about all this, coupled with the power and breath of the dragon on Yayu, all have already fulfilled the desire in Afai's heart. Dragon nature is inherently lustful, and it seems that this is also true of Orpheus. Cough cough cough, this is not possible. Giving birth to a child is not such a simple matter. The stronger the power, the more difficult it is to give birth to offspring. You know this, right? Think about your and my strength. Want to give birth to a child? How difficult it is to have a descendant. Yayu, who looked embarrassed, didn't know how to reject the girl in front of him. It was worth preaching in such a natural way. And listening to what Yayu said, Afais involuntarily bit his finger and tilted his head to think for a moment, and then showed an indifferent expression. It doesn't matter. If it's difficult, just try it a few more times. Let's start doing it now without further ado. Afais said this as if he wanted to take off his clothes, but Yayu had no choice but to step forward to stop him, dumbfounded. There are so many pairs of eyes outside watching us enter the room. We are going to have lunch soon. What on earth do you want to do? They will find out. So what? The weak are not qualified to question what the strong do, and those weak are not qualified to give birth to offspring for you. I am the only one who can reproduce and mate. Afais said this in a matter-of-fact manner, making Yayu couldn't help but put his hand on his forehead again. What kind of things has this girl experienced before? Why does she have such a weird outlook on life? This is not okay, Afais. They are all my important family members. Now that you live in this house, you are also our family. Family members must live in harmony. Family. Afais tilted her head again, a look of confusion appeared in her eyes. She naturally knew what her family meant, but she might not be able to understand its true meaning. So, you can't reproduce with your master? Can you use another adjective? Do that. It's better if you don't speak. Yayu let out a long sigh. Although the setting of the lecherous Lolita was very cute, after looking at Afais's serious and cold little face, there was no desire at all. And how could he possibly do this to a little girl who looked only a little older than his own daughter?